All right, you guys. I want to say welcome. I'm so glad you're here, first of all, and it's going to be a good journey in the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to be quick. It's going to be intensive, and I hope you're ready to rock and roll. We're going to get those home apothecaries set up. And I just want to say, life happens. If something happens, and during this time that we have together, you feel like you fall off and you get behind, please don't feel like that, and please don't worry about it, because seriously, when you start working with herbs and start making your own home remedies, you will find that it is going to be an ongoing process, and you can always come back to it. So, and you can slow down if you want to. And this course is here for you whenever you need it. So, and I am too. So just know that. And please don't get stressed out, because I know in some of the other rounds, I had some people reach out to me and just say that they felt bad because things happened. They had to start watching their grandkids, or, life. It's okay. So I just want to reassure you that that's all good. Let's see, Kathy. Oh yeah, Kathy, thank you for helping Kelly here. I really appreciate that. And I just want to say another thing too about the student group. It is very, very helpful. It's an extremely helpful place, and they're really great people in there. To just know that, please don't ever hesitate to ask any kind of a question in there. I've got students who have gone through previous rounds with me who are going to be redoing it again. And in fact, I see a couple here who went through, and I'm really happy to have you. So just know that there's support. I also have people who've been with me in the Confident Herbalist tribe for a couple of years who are available to help too. So just know that you've got a lot of support here. And I just want to say, as far as you guys turning on your cameras, I love to see your faces. I think it's just really helpful. I feel like I'm talking to people. And so if you can, or if you feel comfortable enough, that would be just fabulous. If you aren't comfortable, or maybe, you've got things going on in your home where you can't have your camera on, that's totally okay too. Very, very flexible. So the way I want to start this is I want you to think about your goals for a moment. What are you wanting to get out of this next 6 to 8 weeks? And you can put it in the chat. If you want to, you can unmute yourself and talk too. That's just fine. But just get a few ideas going here. What is it that you are wanting to mostly accomplish here? Now, obviously, we signed up for Ditch the Drugstore to get your home apothecary going, but usually there's deeper things going on with that. If when I started, I wanted better health. When I started diving into herbs, I wanted to be off of the medications. So James says self-reliance. Exactly. We all see what's happening in the world right now, and it's a little frightening, and things are happening quickly. I don't know if you saw my post in the community group yesterday about an herbalist I know. Her name is Dawn Combs. I'll just share that here. If you want to look her up on Facebook, her chat might still be available. But the things are happening with the government, and we don't know about them necessarily unless people talk about them, because the stuff that's important really isn't on the news. So it's just a good idea to stay really aware. And then Kathy says pain relief, allergies, and better health. Yeah, to help my husband get off blood pressure medicine and pain control after farm work. Okay, yeah, farm work is killer, isn't it? To keep us away from hospitals. Yeah, I have a deathly fear of hospitals myself. I've never had a good experience in one. That includes having babies. So They're just not very nice in there. To get off the medication, to make remedies that I'll actually use, and to get all the remedies made that I really need, so I'll have them ready when I need them. And Lydia, this course will do that for you. You'll find that when you come out of this, you may not have everything built out at the end of the 8 weeks, but you will have a basic foundation. Some of you will have everything you need. So it's, we're all coming from different places, but even if you don't have your apothecary completely finished, you're going to know what to do to get it done, and you're still going to have the support of me and the group. I really feel strongly people need this to feel more comfortable with herbs. Yes, the suppression of free speech has been happening for decades. It has, and it's getting worse. And I you'll find in some of these chats, I tend to go off on mini rants and then I try to pull it back in. But I just want to say that I taught elementary school and middle school in general ed and also special ed for 30 plus years. And when I started teaching, what we were teaching was very, very different than what I was teaching at the end. And as we've seen in what's going on right now teachers are teaching even other things that weren't even part of the curriculum when I was teaching. So yeah, we started out teaching about the founding fathers. And when I ended my teaching career, basically the founding fathers weren't really mentioned at all. It was very sad. So yeah, to reduce dependency on processed pharmaceuticals. Yep, Kathy says there's a reason I homeschool my kids, even working full time. Yeah, Irene homeschools her granddaughter. I wish I lived closer to mine. I would definitely offer that up. But, a lot of people have drank the Kool-Aid, and some people think I'm a little crazy, but I'm really not. So I think I'm pretty well grounded in reality. Anyway, so yes, you guys all have some really great reasons. And for people who are watching this on the replay, think about your goals for these and keep that why top and center so that you can accomplish a lot during this time. So I want to talk really fast about what to do first. So the first thing you're going to do as you start working through the course is get your plan together. So there's a workbook in there, the Family Pharmacy Guide. And really, I want you to go through the steps, take them seriously. And what you're probably going to find, and I'm saying this based on the experiences of previous students, you might find that you want to make a lot of things. And I want you to use this guide as a starting place. And it's going to give you a way to prioritize what you want to make. Okay, so you're going to be starting with those priority items. I suggest if first things first is go through the Herbal Medicine Making Basics course. If you don't know how to make tinctures and teas and things like that, I do show you those things in the how-to videos. But when you start your planning, you should have a basic knowledge of tinctures. And my website is a great resource too. So is the YouTube channel, depending on how you came into Healing Harvest Homestead. But the Herbal Medicine Making Basic course is filled with basics about how to make herbal medicine. It's very simple. And herbalism, luckily, is one of those things that's so easy and people have lost the knowledge. So we're going to relearn the knowledge, regain it, and get ourselves much more self-reliant by the end of this. But when you start planning your remedies, know if you want to make tinctures or teas, and a lot of the teas can be tinctured, okay, and processed in different ways. And write your questions down, and I am going to be helping answer those questions for you as we go through it. But you want to, I'm talking about this because you're going to probably want to start your tincturing early on, because it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for them to process and macerate and be fully done. All right, so just keep that in mind. Blending herbal teas and things like that takes moments. So making salves and things like that literally takes moments. Infusing oils with herbs will take 4 to 6 weeks. So just keep the time frames in mind as you get started. Lisa says, would I feel comfortable sharing that name with us again? So Lisa, if you're talking about the herbalist, here, I'll write it in here. It's Dawn Combs. Let me see here if I can. If you search her on Facebook, she did her live chat on Facebook, and it might still be up. Hopefully it'll stay up. I don't know. I feel like this is a warning to all of us, honestly. But anyway, next up is your supply list. So I always get asked, what supplies do I need? So pretty much you probably have just about everything you need in your kitchen. Okay, you're going to need some measuring utensils. You're going to need some jars. And MJ says, where do we find the workbook? MJ, I'm going to walk you through the curriculum in just a moment and show you where that is, okay? But I didn't put together a supply list for people because, except for tools, there's basic tools in the course materials. Because your apothecaries and the supplies that you're going to need are going to be different from each other, okay? If you're working with children and elderly people, your supplies that you're going to want to purchase are going to be very, very different from somebody like, my husband and myself who are middle-aged. We need different things. So therefore, I want you just to start a supply list, make a list, and as you prioritize, you'll know what to buy first and get second. And I can help you source the materials. Most of the herbs in the recipes are not expensive. I tried to keep the essential oils as well on the inexpensive side. So, and sustainable, like common essential oils like peppermint and lavender and things that are really readily available. Okay, and then let's see here. Pretty much, the Ditch the Drugstore book that's in the course materials. You'll probably want to print that out and just familiarize yourself with it. I see a puppy. She's cute. But anyway, you go ahead and take a look through that. That's going to give you lots of ideas as well. And then the other books that come with the course, they're jam-packed with recipes. There's all kinds of things. So if you need something, ask. If you need an idea, ask, because there are people who've poured through all of these books, previous students who can help, and I can help too. Leah, the book is included. All of this is included in the course. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to take a quick little tour. So about a little over a year ago, I moved my entire community off of Facebook, and I lost a few thousand people because people didn't want to leave Facebook, some of them, and I didn't care. It's just like, I needed to get off Facebook. It was that important. So I started this community over here on Mighty Networks. And I'm going to say right up front, there's a little bit of a learning curve with it, but it's very simple. And once you, oh, Lynn needs to get in here. I'll help her in a few minutes. But once you figure it out and get in here and start navigating around, it's super easy. So I'm going to just show you right now. We are in this screen here is in the main community area. This is the area where there are a few thousand members, and this is the place where it's free for everybody to be here. Like anybody can come in if they're interested in the topics that we share here and if they're respectful. So this is just the umbrella area. You can always go to the discovery area. So I'm clicking on this tab, and this video here goes in depth about how to get around in the group. Here are rules for the community. These rules also apply to the tribe and also Ditch the Drugstore. They're basic rules. but I've had to, I'll just say, I don't put up with rudeness in the group. It's a very respectful place. And when we get into conversations about sensitive things where we might differ in our opinions, I'm so happy to say that the conversations are always kind and respectful. It's kind of like we've just developed this culture here where people are nice to each other, no matter what, and understanding. Here's where you can look at members. Here's where you can find out about the community. I really need to update this, but you can go through these. One thing I want to talk about are the topics. You're going to find topics here in the main community and also inside the student group for Ditch the Drugstore. And I'm just going to familiarize you with these now. As a member of Ditch the Drugstore and being inside the student group, you're automatically a member of the larger community. Okay, so I just want you to know how to look at these. So the topic areas like herbs and essential oils, you can follow or unfollow. So this says following. If I click on this, then it turns to follow. That means I'm not following that topic area anymore, and I shouldn't see posts that people put under that topic. So I definitely want to follow herbs and essential oils, natural soap making and body care, gardening, herbs and vegetables, homesteading, self-reliance and preparedness, Christian faith and fellowship, fermenting. There's an herbs and seed swap group. This actually starts becoming very active in the summertime. It's really fun. Healthy cooking and preserving. And then there's video replays, member wins, if anybody wants to share a win. And then my husband puts our latest YouTube videos in here. He actually runs this community and does a really great job. So there we go with that. Now I'm going to show you how to get into the student groups. Okay, you just scroll down here to where it says student groups and you click on it. And then these are the different student groups I have. Since you are in Ditch the Drugstore, you should have already gotten the link in the course materials to join. And that's why you're here. If you need help with that, just reach out. And this is where you can chat with each other within the group. So if you have a question about any of the course materials or anything else, you can put it right in here and you'll get help with it. In this area, it also has a discovery area, which pretty much it's a self-contained course. So it's not as like massive as these are members of Ditch the Drugstore. And then there's an about area. You can, I guess I can invite. I don't think you guys will have the invite thing. And then the topics. So here's the schedule for the live Q&A chats. Okay, this is where you can find the links to the Zoom meetings, and you can calendar everything. So if I click on this, you'll see this looks like all the replays. Never mind, this is not the schedule. I'm going to have to change this, but this is where you'll be able to find replays and ask questions about the chats and things like that. So let's go back to topics. Here's the replays. So you'll find them here. I put the replays of our live question answer chats in two places, you guys, so that you always have access to them. What I've noticed is some people are more comfortable in the course materials and some people become more comfortable in the student group. So I put them in both places. So you'll find the replays here. And there are lots of them right now. These are also all in your course materials. So you'll be able to click on any of these. And I try my best to keep track of what we talk about and put together a list of what we did talk about. So in this case, we talked about chronic UTIs, natural alternatives or native alternatives to devil's claw, Parkinson's. And I just want to say here, because we've got some medical topics going on in this particular video replay. Ditch the Drugstore is primarily for common ailments, okay? That is what we're going to focus on, just getting that apothecary up and going. If you have health, medical types of issues, we have to be really careful about the language we use legally. So that's where please go over the rules in the main community. I have a little section there about how to ask a question and get an herbal answer legally. Okay. So be sure to pay attention to that. When we talk about medical complaints and issues, if we talk about them at all, it's in terms of a holistic view of your health and your body, which includes your mind, body, your spirit, and your stress levels, your emotional health, all of it rolls in all together. And we also view herbalism comes at our health and wellness in terms of wellness, actually, and health instead of sickness and illness, if that makes sense. And we'll get more into that. It's a massive change of viewpoint when you start working with herbs versus working with pills, okay? And that pill mentality. So that's something that you're going to hopefully see a shift as you go through these course materials and everything. But anyway, this is the Ditch the Drugstore student group. And then if you want to go back to the network, you can also tell where you're at because of the color of the navigation bar up here. The Ditch the Drugstore group has this coral color. If you want to go back to the network, then here we are. It's green, okay? And then the other student groups have different colors too. So this is the student group. If at any time you want to go to the course materials, you can actually click here. This will take you to the Natural Living Community Home. This one will take you over to, I think it's my website. And then if you go to take or find a course, and again, I'm in the main community area here, then you can get over to the school, okay? So you can click into those places. And then inside the school, if you've logged in and you are inside, basically you'll see the courses that you've purchased. This one will show up and then you can get into it and go through the curriculum. I actually need to review this, but if you need to go through the welcome again, I'm going to put this one in there as well, but you'll see this one too. So lots and lots of help, you guys. And again, this is the main curriculum. Please go through these in order if you can. And it's the videos, I'll be honest, I've tried to keep the videos short so that you can get through them and actually learn something fast. What I've realized, and this is just from me taking tons of online courses at this point, when people give me a 2-hour long video, it's really hard to get through and stay focused and take notes and all that. So I've broken the course materials as much as I can into smaller chunks. Okay. So that's going to help you get through them. And of course you can watch these as many times as you want to, but this is basically where you'll find everything. Okay. So the workbook, a student was asking about the workbook a few minutes ago. This is it right here. And if you look at the little symbols under here, you can tell if it's text or if it's a video. I would also want to show you, let's see here. Here's where you can find the recipe book. When we get down here to and here's where you're going to see all the sections. I do not have a video of every single recipe in the recipe book. The recipe book is large. So I've tried to go ahead and represent in the videos the main recipes that people might want to use, and also recipes that are easier, and also that represent all of the different methods of making herbal medicine. So if you go through these, this is also going to give you a good idea of how to tincture, how to create teas and things like that. And then you've got your categories: stress, sleep, and relaxation, basic first aid, and then conclusion. There's more up here, obviously, pain relieving. In the book, we've got more sections. when I put this course together, it was a basic outline. And as we went through the first and the second rounds of the course, people wanted more things added. So the book grew. And I think the book is pretty complete right now. And here, if you see EO and H, this means essential oil. H means herbal. Okay. So you'll know if if you're a person who doesn't want to deal with essential oils at all, and there are some people who just feel like that, then you can avoid the essential oil remedies. There will be in a company herbal remedy too that you can also use if you want to. And then you can ask in the group if there, I've got so many alternatives and substitutions for people. All right, down here is where you'll find the other things that I've included for you, the other books. And then down here in this area, the live question and answer chat replays. If you click on these, like here's a replay of the question and answer chat from June 22nd. Where is it? You'll see links in here. I think I'm in the admin area. It may not be showing me everything. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and I'm glad I clicked on that. I'll have to fix that. Here's what you'll typically find in the replays. You will find the date, and then you'll find the link. Okay. And then you'll find, this is the link right here. And then you'll find the things that we talked about in that particular replay, just like inside the student group. Okay. So if you're interested in any of these topics, you can actually go, and I know people will listen to these while they're in the car or while they're cleaning the house or whatever. You don't really need video to listen to these. And I'm working on getting audio only. So I'm actually working on that right now. I'm looking at different programs. So anyway, that is basically a quick walkthrough of the course materials and the student group. Okay, I know that's a lot right now. Just get in there and start, start exploring, start asking questions, just get started. That's the best thing to do. And then really fast, I just want to talk about graduation day. That's going to be on May 5th. I think it's May 15th. It's a Saturday morning. And at graduation day is fun. Everybody gets onto the Zoom, and I encourage everybody to share your apothecaries. And I want you to do that in the student group as we go through this too. Show what you're making, show your herbal medicines. It's really exciting when we start seeing the things that everybody's making and doing. So be sure to share. It's really huge. Yeah, and don't be shy. And please don't be afraid to ask any questions at all, because I'm going to grab some water here. You guys, there are no dumb questions. When you first start this process, I remember when I first started still, and I remember how I was so frustrated that I didn't know everything, and I wanted to know it all right now. And I didn't have anybody to ask. And I just had to learn it. And I'm just going to say two things here. You're going to speed up your learning by asking questions. Please don't feel bad if you think that they're dumb. Don't ever feel bad about that. Just ask. And the second thing is doing it. Okay, actually starting to work with the plants and the essential oils. That's going to radically speed up what you do. I've run across students who are so afraid to start there because it's overwhelming at first, and they just never do start. They never get started. So I'm going to encourage all of you to, this week coming up, set a goal for yourself by the end of the week. All right, what do you want to have accomplished? Do you want to have your family plan ready to go? Do you want to have gone through the herbal medicine making basics if you need to do that? Some of you don't. I think some of you guys probably have a basic understanding of herbal medicine at this point. But set a goal for yourself each week, because if you set that goal, then you're going to be more likely to make it. And like I've said, and like I said in the webinar too, even if you watched that webinar I did, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. But you guys can seriously do this in the margins of your life. I'm not even joking about that. I know that from personal experience. When I learned herbalism, I was still working full time. I had kids at home, and my life was crazy. I was very, very busy. And I just decided that it was important enough for me to want to take care of my health better that I just made it happen. So if I was cooking dinner, I would have a plan. Okay, I want to make this tincture. So while I was cooking dinner, I'd have my stuff in one area and I'd be cooking. And when I had a moment, I'd put that tincture together. And then I'd label everything and put it up. You'll find doing stuff like this that fast, it becomes automatic and easy. As far as studying goes, or reading through materials, I actually made note cards. You'll see a glossary, an herbal actions glossary in the course materials. I would try, if you can, to learn those actions. Know what an analgesic is. Know what a nervine herb is. Know what those things are, because you'll find as you start to explore herbalism and learn more, when you have those words in your head automatically and you know what they are, you're going to be reading some herbal material and they're going to be talking about these words, and you'll know what they are. It's like another language. So keep, study all the time. If you have a moment, pull out those note cards, get a book, bring the Ditch the Drugstore book with you. I'm going to go through the chat really fast and see if there's any questions that I missed. Yeah, Joe is always in the group. He's in there all the time, and he's really good at answering questions too. So is there some place that is broken down to what we should be doing each week to stay on track? So Kathy, once again, there's really no staying on track per se. So what I want you to do is, the most important week, I feel, is this first week, okay? Possibly the second week, because this is where you're putting your plan together. Your individual plan is what is going to keep you on track, if that makes sense, okay? The things that you put together for your home apothecary, for the family members that you, and maybe even neighbors that you want to create things for, that's going to be your plan of action. So the rest of the course, after the first couple of sections, is really open-ended. It's all of the what would you say, the different categories of common ailments, pain management. If you're a person who experiences some kind of pain, you might want to be focusing on that area and asking questions about that area. If you're a person who wants a really well-stocked first aid apothecary for children, then you're going to want to focus on that area, okay? You're going to want to create things for the people in your home. And especially if you're working with children, it's very important to pay attention to dosing in terms of herbs and dilution in terms of essential oils. And so you're going to want to become familiar with those things very, very well. Whereas another person who's just dealing with adults, dilutions are very simple and easy, and so is dosing.
So can I ask a question on the dosing?
Sure.
Because isn't it most dosing is off of a 150-pound person?
Uh-huh.
See, the problem with that is we're both larger people. My husband's 6'3" and weighs about 260, and I'm about 300. So I mean, how do I know how to adjust that for dosing? Because I did look through the dosing thing, but it didn't really explain it.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, this is a really good question. And this is a very common question. So let's see, Kathy, what the government has done and what Big Pharma has done is they have standardized their pills and drugs. Mm-hmm. And the standardization is generally for a 150-pound man, not a woman, a man. Yeah. And women are very unrepresented or underrepresented in the pharmaceutical and drug world, to be honest. Our bodies operate different than men's. So I'm going to say a couple things. Number one, Herbs are very, very safe in general. Okay. You can have interactions with drugs and things like this, but in general, especially the herbs that we're working with in this course, they're extremely safe. So what I suggest is if you are wanting to adjust dosing, start with the average dose. You might find that it actually is pretty effective.
Okay.
And then you can adjust upwards. And we call this titrating, and it's actually a medical term. Doctors will often do the same thing, and they'll do this when they adjust prescription medications too. But titrating your dosage means that you're just making small incremental changes upward or downward for the effectiveness that you need.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's nothing to get, I mean, people, this is the fear factor of herbs that I've seen. Big pharma, and when you Google something, the WebMD comes up, and they literally scare people into not using herbs. But the truth is that herbs in general are very, very safe, and most of them are foods of some kind or other, and it's extremely difficult to harm yourself by taking too much. So you can, there's herb drug interactions that you definitely need to be aware of. If you're taking prescription meds, you guys, be sure that you look at the herb drug interactions.
Yeah, I did purchase a book for that, the herb vitamin, what is it? The I think it was pharmaceutical herb vitamin interdiction book.
Yes. And I just want to say, if you don't have a book like that, and most of us don't, then going to WebMD will give you all the contraindications too, and herb drug interactions. They're actually pretty good about that. But with that, take that with a little grain of salt too. I'm going to give you an example, like willow bark, which is something that we use often in our home. It's similar to aspirin, and that's because it contains salicin, which is a chemical that's converted to the acetyl salicylate in our bodies through a couple of metabolic processes. The thing is willow bark doesn't have the same effect on us that aspirin has. The Bayer Aspirin Company pulled out this one chemical from the plant and created aspirin. And back when they first started it, it was so horrible on people's stomachs that the side effects of taking it were actually worse than the pain the person was trying to avoid. And then that's when they started buffering the pills with a coating, and that's why it's called bufferin. But and that helped to alleviate some of the side effects. But when you use willow bark tincture, you're going to find there aren't any side effects. And you've got other components in that plant that work together that, help alleviate any kind of, issue most of the time. And I'm going to say this too. The word on the street that herbalists always say, and doctors will say, is that with willow bark, and I'm using willow bark as an example because it's really common, you do need to treat it or you should treat it like aspirin. But the fact is, in other words, if you are on blood thinners, then you need to be careful taking aspirin, right? So we need to kind of think about willow bark in that same way, even though it's not a drug and it doesn't have the same interactions. You just need to be aware. And definitely if you're on medications, please talk with your doctor, although it's very likely you're going to get a response where he or she rolls her eyes and tells you herbs are don't take the herbs because they're not trained and they don't know. They just simply don't know. But I want to say that there's emerging evidence with willow bark that it may not even have the blood thinning effect like aspirin has. So, and this is because of the different metabolic processes it goes through. So science is really great in terms of, especially if they're doing clinical studies and things, for giving us information and helping us know what to do and what not to do. But science is not great when they're pulling out one little chemical from a plant that God meant to be used as a whole. You know what I mean? So anyway, I know I'm off on another topic besides dosing, but Yeah, I just want you to know that for the most part, herbs are much safer than most drugs. So let's see here. Kelly says, what was the graduation date? It's May 15th. It's a Saturday, and we'll meet weekly up until that point. So there's 8 weeks of meetings scheduled. You can find those in the events. So if you click on events in the student group, you'll see all of yours. If you're inside the Ditch the Drugstore student group, they'll all come up. Yeah, and Kathy says, or even, yeah, take your time. You know, there's a lot to absorb. There's a lot to do. It's easy to make the remedies and get them started, but I guarantee you, as you dive into this, you're going to want to, learn about the plants. The plants are amazing. And when you start learning about what they can do for us, it opens up a whole new world. It really does. Yeah, and Shell says we work out and prioritize what we need for our individual family requirements. So with all of us being different, we will need different products. Yeah, thanks, Shell. This is very true. Oh, yes. And Anne says it is okay if you have not finished everything by graduation day. Yeah. As you can see, we've got some students from the first couple of rounds coming through with us, and Shell's been with me in the Confident Herbalist tribe for a long time. So we've got people who have worked with the herbs, and yeah, and they know how I operate so very well. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. We have a request. Do you guys want to share where you're all from? That's always interesting. Usually I start off like that, and I didn't this time. If you want to just in the chat, write down where you're from, or, if you're, if you're at a computer. I think that's really fun. I'm in Northern Idaho, so that's where I'm at. And let's see, Kelly, the graduation date is May 15th, okay? We will be meeting every single Thursday, and I've got the times being offset. So on one week, we'll meet at 10 a.m., that's Pacific time. On the next Thursday, we'll meet at 4 p.m., also Pacific time. And that's to give people who work an opportunity to make it to the afternoon one if they can. I've tried to, in all the years I've been doing this, it seems like 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock are really the best times for a lot of people. So I try to make everybody happy, but I can't. It's just, I do my best. And oh, Lisa says, as much as I'm interested in herbs for people, will there be information for dogs and horses as well? There's a small section in the book that with some things for animals, and I can definitely build that out. I've actually been meaning to put a little course together on herbs and essential oils for pets. Again, this is, everybody's afraid to use herbs with animals, and especially cats, because their bodies are completely different than like a dog's, for example. But honestly, I've been using herbs and essential oils with my animals for years, with no negative repercussions at all. And I would much rather put a flea or tick remedy made with essential oils on my dog than a tick collar that's, or medicine that's full of nasty chemicals for them. I just want to say too, one of my dogs, he passed last year, but he was 18 years old. He was with me for a long time, and he was around essential oils and herbs for a very long time. I think that's why he lived so long. What's the book that helps you find out what to use for symptoms? Okay, so Susie, those are going to be all of the books. Okay, the Ditch the Drugstore book actually has sections in it, if you look at the appendix and the appendices in that book, that can help you figure out which remedies to look at, and also which herbs to look at too. And the other thing is that if you have like a cold or flu symptom that's common, like a congestion or something going on, you can ask about that. But you'll see in the book, in the course materials, there's a lot in there. James says he's in Layton, Utah, Rochester, Minnesota, Nebraska, and Shell's over in the UK, San Diego, West Texas, North Carolina, Massachusetts. We're all over the place. Ohio, Florida, Missouri, Mississippi, Montana, Ontario, Canada. I have an herbalist friend in Canada, and she tells me some of the things going on over there that aren't out, common knowledge, and it's really a little crazy. Queen Creek, Arizona. That sounds like a really pretty place. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And Elizabeth says, where do I find the workbook? Elizabeth, it's in the course materials. So I'm going to wrap this up here. So what I want you to do is you need to go back and rewatch it and go to the part where I go into the school. Okay. And that you'll find the workbook in there. Eureka, Montana, South Carolina. Oh, good. MJ says, I've gone from a bit of hesitation to excited. I'm so glad, and this is what you will get more and more excited too. I promise you, as you start building your apothecaries, and as you start trying things out and you see that they work, oh my goodness, the excitement will build. It absolutely will. And when I say this is going to open up a whole new world for you, I'm not joking. It really is exciting. The first moment that you make something or a few things and they work, and you realize that these things came from plants that are in your garden or that are easily found in the grocery store, that are at your fingertips, and you don't need to go into the drugstore anymore. Did you guys ever I don't, some of you are brand new to me, but I'm going to just tell you one fast story. When I first started using herbs, and this was probably about 2 or 3 years in, we had a gift card to CVS Pharmacy. And my husband and I went into CVS to buy supplies. We thought, well, because we have a very well stocked home, food wise and medical wise. But we thought, okay, let's go, buy supplies for the storeroom. Well, we started, he had a cart and I had a cart, and we were walking up and down the aisles, and, and we looked at each other across an aisle, and Joe says, do you have anything in your cart? And I said, no, nothing. He says, Heidi, you make all this stuff. And I said, it was like a light bulb moment for me. I was just like, I do. We ended up putting bandages and things like that into the cart. But anyway, that was our light bulb moment. And that was many years ago. But at this point, we haven't used any over-the-counter or prescription drugs in 10 years, at least. And I should probably try to figure out the exact date. But it's exciting because it really makes you feel not so helpless in the world, I guess. Do you know what I mean? It's just really hard. And then you can make decisions about when you do want to see the doctor, because you will have to sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you know what to do, if you have some, your apothecary built out, then you're in such a much better place. But oh, James says, hi, Shell, my clan hails from St. Wen, Cornwall. Awesome. Irene says, the truth about cancer is putting out a documentary on pets and all the vaccines and injections causing disease. We have domesticated animals that otherwise would be cancer-free in the wild. Yeah, I believe that for sure. We, all the things that the medical community are trained to tell us are good for us, so many are harmful. Not all of them, but James says, am I the only guy here? James, you might be. I think a few other men did sign up. for Ditch the Drugstore. I'll tell you, herbalism's pretty interesting because you'll see a lot of men who are very outspoken, like Stephen Herod Buhner is one. He's written wonderful books about antibacterials and antiviral herbs. Love him. He's very well researched. But you don't see a whole lot of men. And then in the courses, it seems like women, and I'm totally generalizing here, but it seems like women as the caretakers of the home tend to dive into this more readily than a lot of men. And men are, I'm really sounding like very, what would the word be? Prejudicial, I guess. But I've noticed this though, that the men who do dive in, they dive in hard and they take care of things fast. And then some women do too. Women tend to be a little more hesitant, but once they figure it out and go, this really works, they're all in too. Anyway, and I'm totally generalizing right now. But yeah. Oh yeah, Joe is here too. Yeah, James, you never fear. Joe, he actually, I think was in, yeah, if you see Mr. V, that's Joe. And he's pretty cool. Kelly says, I don't know, James, but who cares? Welcome. Exactly. And trust me, there are other men who did buy the course this time around. So oh, where on your site is the Ditch the Drugstore book offered? Patty, do you mean the physical book, to actually buy the physical book? You can, because you can download the printable book from the course materials. And Joe has a discount for people who want the physical book. And so I'll have he'll put announcements in the student group, but we offer that at our cost. There's, you know, I know some people like the physical books and I do too, but I just want you to know he doesn't make any money on that, or we don't, but it is available. There's a steep discount coupon for you guys, a big one. And James says, are there any other beekeepers here? Yeah, that's always really interesting. James, when you get into the community, in the topic areas, you'll find that there are beekeepers. Melinda Cannoli, her name is Knolle. I know for sure she's a beekeeper and she's in the community. You can actually, if you want to tag somebody in the community, it's pretty easy. You just, I'm going to go ahead and do that right down here. You put the @ symbol in front of their name. And then like if I I'll type in Joe's, he's Mr. V here. Oh, it probably won't come. Oh, this is Zoom. I'm so silly. So this is Zoom, so you can't do it here, but this is what you would type in the student group or in the community group, and then you can tag people, okay? And then your tag will show up in their notifications so that they can like respond to you. But Melinda Cannoli is a beekeeper, and I'll type her name here. Okay. And she's also she's in the Confident Herbalist tribe. And I think she went through, the first round of Ditch the Drugstore with us too. Oh, Leah said, Leah's a beekeeper. I have 3 hives. Nice. That's one thing we want to start doing too. It's keeping bees. The bees are dying all over the world. We definitely need them. All right, you guys. Joe brought this, the workbook in. It's not real big, but I'll just kind of walk through this really fast. This is the first thing you're going to want to do, introduction and how to use it. So read through that. And this sounds really basic. So step 1 is think about who's in your family. But, you know, we all go through our lives and our family's just there, you know, kind of like, you know, you have, 5 kids and you've got your husband or your wife, and you know that, you might be taking care of an elderly mother, but we don't stop and actually think about what they need until we need it, right? Like we get a bee sting and, oh no, we're running to the store to get calamine lotion or whatever. So what I want you to do is think you're going to list your family members out. and then you're going to list their specific needs. Okay, so if they need something specifically that you can identify, if you're dealing with children, it would be obviously you're going to want cold and flu and things on hand. You're going to want first aid things on hand. So if you're dealing with an elderly family member and you know that they're on blood thinners, then this is an example, then you know that you're going to need to make adjustments for that fact. So I've gotten lots of spaces for lots of family members. I think the first round of the Ditch the Drugstore, I had a mom come through who had, I think, 8 kids and all at different ages. So her home apothecary was quite extensive when she got done. Step 2 is to make a list of desired items in each of the following areas. So after you consider all of your family members and their needs, then you're actually going to consider like pain relief. And you're going to go ahead and list what you're going to need for those areas and for the specific family member. And you can write their names if you want to or not. The respiratory system. So that would be things like allergies, congestion, breathing. If you're worried about the C word out there, you can put things together for that if you need to. That can help. I try not to, yeah, I'm just so like, after listening to what happened with Don Combs, boy. Sleep, stress, relaxation, and focus. For some of us, sleep is huge, right? We have to get our sleep. If you don't sleep, you're going to be sick. So I know that's one of my remedies. I do not let myself run out of my herbal sleep aids ever. First aid and small emergencies. And then step 3 is it's time to create. And this is where you're going to make your priority list of the things you want to get done. And just a bit long. And then step 4 is organizing it. So what you're going to find as you go through this, you're going to end up with like all these little tins and bottles of this and that, and they're just going to start. Oh, and you're going to end up with initially, you're going to have jars everywhere full of these strange looking plants and concoctions, and they're going to gather on your windowsill or on your shelves. And so at a certain point you're going to want to put a plan together for organization. But it's really cool, like people will walk into your house and they'll say, what are you doing? But and you can explain it and share and teach. And anyway, oh, what do you recommend for labels? You know, Irene, basically with labels, there are so many different options. I know a lot of people, I used to just use masking tape when I started. It was not fancy at all. Let's see, I do have, don't have them here with me right now. You can buy a roll of just the white labels that you can just peel off. I find that having them be a little bit larger is helpful, because you will, this is serious, I'm glad you brought up this point. You are definitely going to want to write down exactly what is in your bottle. And because if you don't, you'll forget. I guarantee you that will happen. And then you'll be mad at yourself. And after all these years, I still once in a while do that and get mad at myself. So like, this is not labeled. I happen to know what it is, but if I was first beginning, I wouldn't. Let's see. Yes, Cindy says, while it's infusing, white painter's tape is great. It is. Just grab a Sharpie and you can label what you need right there. Yeah, Cindy, thank you for mentioning that. For your final product, you'll want pretty labels. Yeah, so for my final products, I am not a pretty person. I'm very much into function over prettiness, but you can buy these little labels on Amazon and just write what it is on there. And then I keep my recipe books. That's another thing too. And then we're going to sign off. I just want to say, keep a journal. Keep a journal of the things that you create. Keep a journal for how they're working. Keep a journal where you've got all of your ingredients listed. This will become your own like first aid little home apothecary book. It's very, very valuable when you start creating journals. And I have a stack now at this point. I've got probably 10 of them full of recipes and things that I've created and formulated. And I can go back and look through them. And it's just something that you're going to find grows as you go through this. So, all right, you guys. Yeah, Kelly says she puts everything on the label. And that's a great idea. All right, you guys. Joe says we add links of where to get herbs and essential oils. Yeah, there's links in the course. I'll just say right now, I am non-brand specific when it comes to essential oils. I know the big MLMs, there's two big ones that you probably are aware of. They will try to tell you that only their oils are the best. That is not the case. What you do need to look out for, you do need to know that the company tests the oils. So there's something called a GCMS report. I'll type that in here. But, there are about 4 or 5 companies that I can personally recommend and where I buy my essential oils at. Rocky Mountain Oils is one of them. I like Plant Therapy. And Plant Therapy's oils are actually, they're priced pretty reasonably. And Star West Botanicals is another one. They have essential oils that I consider are good quality. And let's see. Aromatics International, Amrita Aromatherapy is really good. And they actually have products that are combined with herbs too, which I love. So yeah. Kathy says Simply Earth has a monthly box. I have not tried their oils. Here's what I'm going to say about some companies, and this is where you really need to be aware and be careful. It's simple for people to buy essential oils in bulk, like gallons, drums even. You can buy a drum of lavender essential oil. You are not going to get a good quality of oil that way. Bulk Apothecary, which is a good company for carrier oils, I feel, and things like that. I would not buy my essential oils from them. They sell massive bulk oils to individuals. These people turn around and they relabel the oils under their own label and resell them. People think they're getting a better product, but they're not. They're getting a very, very inferior product. So you really, really need to do your research. I suggest choosing very, very trustworthy companies. I don't know anything about Simply Earth, but I can tell you this. If the essential oils are really inexpensive, it's highly likely that you're getting an inferior product. Okay, so just know that. Not that you have to spend a lot of money, but just kind of do some sleuthing on that. I think the Now brand came up the other day. That these oils that you can find in the drugstores or the grocery stores, honestly, I would avoid them. That's me. So just I'm not telling you what to do, but do some research on it. I'm a trained aromatherapist with a lot of years of study and experience, and I can honestly tell you that it's better to spend a little more money and buy a quality product from a company you can trust. And that's the key word there. I wouldn't just, you can get oils on, if you see a 4-ounce bottle of essential oil on Amazon and it's $8, you guys, no. So just know that if the oils are too cheap, there's a reason why. They're probably not good. Anyway, all right. We've been on here for a while and I'm going on and on. Yeah. I'm going to say, Plant Therapy is good. I've never had an issue with their oils, and they are priced pretty well. Eden's Garden, the jury's out on that company. I've bought a few of their oils and I think they're probably okay, but here's a little way you can test at home to see if an oil is truly pure. Put a little drop on a piece of paper, and what should happen is it will evaporate. You should not have an oily mark left over okay? Because essential oils they're not like lipid oils with fat. They're volatile oils and they evaporate completely. So one of the things you can do is test it. I actually had some sandalwood essential oil, and this was from Eden's Garden, spill on some paper, and most of it did evaporate, but there was an oily residue left over, and I was horrified because, you know, I thought that I had a good product there. So now I'm leery. So just know there are things that you can look at and try and do. But I can legitimately say that the companies I just told you about, I've never had a bad experience with them. Yeah, James says always go with trusted sources. There's lots of scams out there. There are, just like cheap honey. Yeah, where they put, you know, high fructose corn syrup in honey. I mean, my goodness. Chances are it's adulterated honey. 70%, yep, in the stores are fake. I totally agree with you. The best thing you can do really is to find a small distiller that you know yourself and purchase from them. Herbs, if you can find a good small herb farm nearby, buy from them. Buy from a grower who you know. I love Reverie Farms in Troy, Idaho. You're going to pay more for those products, but you're going to be guaranteed to have better quality. So the best quality you can have is to grow your own, harvest your own, dry your own, and then it's amazing the difference. I'll show you some calendula as we go through this. It's a flower that's yellow. I'll show you, if I think I still have an old jar in there versus my calendula from last summer. It's a massive difference. So if you can grow some, try to do that. And then let's see. I think that's all I was going to say. I think somebody asked me if I made my own essential oils. I do have a still. I distill different plants and mainly make hydrosols, which we can talk more about hydrosols. They're amazing. They're an amazing alternative to essential oils, especially for animals. Oh, thank you. Here's an example, and you can relate this to the essential oil world too. Okay, so this calendula was harvested nearly a year ago, and look at how beautiful and vibrant it still is. This came out of my garden. This calendula came from a bulk herb store, and I think I got a hold of this also about a year ago. So there you go. Is that crazy? So if you can grow it, grow your own. And if you are buying from a bulk herb store, buy from a good bulk herb store if you can. Or like I said, again, the Reverie Farms herb grower, her calendula will come to you looking like this. So those small herb farmers are much better. I'll get a list together of those. Yeah, Anne says if the company won't give you answers to your questions, then avoid. Oh, yeah, and I do. Cindy says I have a list of resources in the resource library. Yeah. If you go to my website, there's a tab that says valuable resources. You can just look there. I'm an affiliate for some of the companies, but not all of them. So I'm just, you know, being very clear and transparent here. I'm not going to talk about companies that I don't use myself. Actually, that's why you won't see Eden's Garden in the list, because after that sandalwood experience, I just don't feel good about recommending them. Let's see, James says, will you be speaking on freeze drying and how long it will last if vacuum sealed? James, I can. I actually don't freeze dry my herbs. We just dry them, air dry them. I don't even put them in the dehydrator, although you can. But yeah, we can talk about herb storage too. A dried herb like this calendula will, I always say about a year, especially if it's a flower or a leaf. But honestly, this is still so great. I think this would probably last another year. It's stored properly. You want to store your herbs in glass jars with a tightly fitting lid. If you've got a lot of headspace, you want to avoid a lot of headspace because it will oxidize the herb faster. You can put an oxygen absorber in it, that helps. And you want to store your herbs in a cool, dark place. So we have a room in our house that just stays cold, and we have blackout blinds in that room, and that's where I store my herbs. They're in there. So, but yeah, if they're vacuum sealed and freeze dried, James, I believe there's a huge shelf life of those. 20, 30 years. That's my understanding. So it's like really crazy. Yeah, if you can, we want a freeze dryer so bad. That's it's not in the budget right now, but that's on the list anyway. Okay, you guys. Yeah, Cindy's asking if you've joined the tribe. The tribe, people always ask what the difference is between Ditch the Drugstore and the tribe. The tribe I created about almost 3 years ago now. And I add a master class on a specific plant roughly every month, sometimes more, sometimes less. Plus there's additional courses and master classes in it. But this is for people who really want to learn about the herbs. The master classes include information on growing the herbs or foraging if it's a wild plant, and harvesting, drying, they're very well researched books with complete materia medicas and recipes. So every master class also includes things you can do with the plants. So it kind of just exploded and grew with master classes. So now I've got them organized into body systems, seasonal, and alphabetical order. So people who are in the tribe can now find things better for what they need. But anyway, it's another level of herbalism. So anyway, all right, you guys. Cindy says, this is my second go around and Ditch the Drugstore, just a refresher. And I love the course, and she's in the tribe. Cindy, can I talk about your wellness? Cindy kind of made me a little nervous. She went through Ditch the Drugstore. Yeah, go for it. She went through Ditch the Drugstore, and I can't remember, Cindy, if you went through the first or the second time, but she was so excited, and I love watching you guys when you start making your herbal remedies. It's why I do this, because over and over and over, I've seen amazing results. Well, Cindy had she was on medications, and she had some medical conditions that she really wanted to deal with naturally. And again, this is a common ailments course. So unbeknownst to me, and she was in the tribe too, she was really working through a lot of things that she had going on with her health. And at the end of her Ditch the Drugstore experience, she basically got on, it was graduation day, and she shared all of the medications that she had gotten off of within that 8-week period that we were together. And I was like, oh, and I asked her, I said, you did do this under your doctor's supervision, right? Because some of the medications were, they were important. And she says, yep, she did it with her doctor's knowledge. And she says the doctor laughed at her, but they will laugh. I had a doctor who laughed at me. It was terrible, but it really makes you really have to understand herbs and be very, very strong in your belief that they work and knowledge that they work, because most people will slink back to the doctor if they get scared. And I understand that, but really the herbs work. But anyway, Cindy had kept track of her numbers and done things very responsibly. And I was just amazed, and she was amazed. And seriously, it's nuts. Shell says it's life-changing and it's addictive. It is. And faith works well with herbs and healing. It sure does. It sure does. If you don't have the belief, then they're probably, may not work for you. They may or they may not. But I can tell you, you guys, and there's, in the herbal world out there, there's a lot of references to goddess, Gaia, earth worship, but God created the plants. He created them for us, and that he created them, he made them for our health and our wellness. And we just need to relearn the skills that we used to have. And that's what we're doing here. That's my goal. That's really my goal. Kathy said, my husband's surgeon said, go ahead after his bone graft. At the 6-week appointment, he wanted the recipes. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, they're taught Rockefeller petroleum medicine. They sure are. They really are. All right, you guys. Oh, let's see. Kelly says, my doctor advised a baby aspirin daily. I asked if I could use cottonwood bud tincture instead. First, he said no, because you don't really know what's in it. But when I said, yes, I do, I made it right down to harvesting the buds. He said, well, then, yes, of course you can. That's pretty cool. All right, you guys. I guess we'll go ahead and sign off. We've been on here a long time. Usually the chats last about an hour. So we'll go ahead and sign off. And I'm so glad you're here. And if you have any questions, please ask. And we're all here for you. And I am excited to see what you guys create. It's going to be fun. All right. Bye, you guys.